Despite often hearing that there is nothing to be attained in doing meditation, some may have set satori as a goal for themselves. Their desiring this could come from why they started to sit, thinking that being enlightened would be nice, or at least getting somewhere would be nice. Noticing over time some changes in their zazen, they may now find they are asking the equivalent of, am I there yet? The problem is that they couldn't have gotten somewhere else, since that where they started from was their Buddha nature. However, being told like this that they are already enlightened may not seem to help much if they haven't experienced being this. What cannot work is if we try for enlightenment. This sort of confusion about practice occurs because all humans have a deluded self, whether or not they have recognized what is deluded about themselves. Dogen said in the Genjo Koan, to carry the self forward and experience myriad things is delusion. Again, to carry the self forward and experience myriad things is delusion. That is, it is deluded of us if instead of turning to look backward inside to observe what is really going on, we continue to do what we've always done, which is to know what we want out there and to go after it. Getting more of what we desire for ourselves like this is a cause of our suffering. There will always be something else to want. The result will be never being satisfied for long. Our living at the whims of our ego self like this makes us unintended victims of ourself. Dogen compared this deluded way of living with that myriad things come forth and experience themselves is awakening. That myriad things come forth and experience themselves is awakening. This is not about the myriad things awakening. This is about you yourself when myriad things come forth and experience themselves through you. We are most ourselves when we are taking care of others rather than ourselves. This might sound counterintuitive, but the "what about me?" asked by the deluded self is not getting in the way then. While we can see this ego self whenever we are being selfish, we are not this when responding to others who have come to us. Thinking of others first and being free of our deluded selves is the Bodhisattva way. This ego self's understanding of its own importance is also unrealistic. Like everyone and everything else, we are not independent in that we aren't defined by ourselves, but rather by one another through our mutual interdependence. My parents would not have been parents if my siblings and I hadn't been born. I would not be Peter if my mother hadn't given birth to me and named me that, nor would I be a husband now were it not for Jane. These are but a few of the innumerous conditions causing me. Indeed, I would not be giving this talk were it not for you. Because of such dependencies on others for determining us, taking ourselves all that seriously doesn't make much sense. Moreover, because we are empty in not being self-defined, we are also not trapped by the limitations of our assumptions, our past assumptions of who we are. And in always starting from scratch, in not knowing who we are, in facing a problem, we are open to there being endless possibilities for solutions. This means that we are free, but not that we can survive alone. Ringo Starr's "We Are All in a Yellow Submarine" expresses our situation of always being in the same boat together. We cannot get by without the food that others raise, or transport or sell, or the clothes now being made all over the world for us to wear. We also need specialists like Chris here so that our bright submarine runs safely. What we are all, because he's an atomic engineer, what we are all doing, in fact, is taking care of each other. Seen in this way, our world is one big sangha of bodhisattvas, in which everyone accepts and takes care of others, and is accepted by and taken care of by others. Thank you. Do you have any comments or questions? My bodhisattva friends? Yes, 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 John.
I just wanted to say that I really liked your examples of interdependence, because I think that I just always think of it more metaphysically, and I loved how you stripped all that away and brought it down to its bare bones of real interdependence in our everyday lives. And thank you for that.
Thank you.
And would you say that type of interdependence is the true interdependence, or is it more the, because there's this thing about how we're all interconnected anyway, you swap molecules with people. Like, what is your real deep feeling of interdependence, Peter, if I could ask?
Well, not about swapping molecules, no. Talking about doing that, John, by the way, Benevitti came.
What? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. What happened?
Benevitti came. Benevitti.
What's that?
What's Benevitti? Oh.
Yeah, you got it. Okay, it's private, so.
It's now I got it. I got it.
He missed it anyway. No, it's fine. I've been waiting for a chance to get to say that to you. Okay, anybody else? That was that. It's kind of it's quite interesting. This is a kind of a Mahayana trick, because it starts out, in classical Buddhism, let's say, that that we are dependent means that we are, of course, empty is a Mahayana word, but anyway, but we are dependent on everything, and that's the reason for there being no self, in the sense of an intrinsic personal thing. But however, interdependence has the opposite meaning. Interdependence, one is about how we are, is a negative way of seeing dependence. And interdependence is a very positive way. So that's kind of, I haven't made that really clear. I'll probably talk about it more a little later when I become more interdependent. But for now, Mark.
You want to move James in the picture?
Oh, Jane. Oh, yes, of course. Thank you. Oh, my goodness.
Oh,
That's right. That's right. My goodness.
Can I say something?
Yes, you can.
Sure.
I like this talk very much because, like you, John, I like the way he took a very metaphysical relationship that we have with everything and gave it a name, like making clothes all over the world. And then we can depend on that, and people who grow food and transport it and transport all the things that we need, and getting the oil going and getting the food system in order and the money system in order, all the people who help everywhere. These are like all things come through us and experience themselves. That's what that is, and we experience it with them. But yet we're all in a cooperative state. We're all in a state of knowing who we are, and yet at the same time understanding the flow of life coming through it and experiencing itself in many various ways. In particular, it's like this very cooperative system. If we had a small group and we say, okay, you work on this part and you work on the garden, and you so Tassajara in a sense is like that. It's a very cooperative system, and it's done in such a way that we benefit not only ourselves, we benefit the whole world by allowing the experience to take place in us. So thank you, Peter. That was a very expressive talk.
And now we can see each other here too. Mark next, and then Rachel.
Yes, that's very beautiful. Especially this interconnected interdependence, for a mass of cooperative beings that have actually successfully evolved with this particular trait we have. And yet, what gives rise to this notion, this phantom perhaps, of I am me and that's who I am?
Yeah, that's
Can you
That's
answer
what-
that?
That's what delusion means. Yeah, of course.
How do you think that it arises, and what's its purpose?
Oh well, I mean that's another whole nother story. You know, of course that's us.
That's his next talk.
That's us. Okay. And so therefore Buddhism recognizes that that's us, and it says, but that's not all, buddy. Right? And so we're spend our lives finding out what the other side is. And we find out what the other side is, suddenly, kind of like suddenly, not really suddenly, but suddenly, the opposite is true. The opposite is we don't spend time thinking about ourselves, we spend time thinking of others. And that is our natural state. When we truly understand ourselves, that's our natural state. And that's the end result of our practice.
It's very interesting that we're evolving towards cooperation, yet I think our original state was, in many ways, as we have started as children and infants, it's I, me, mine. So I think it's a continual learning
Yes.
process.
That's right, because I mean mine, of course, is, how can you say to a child who's saying, gimme, 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 I don't, no, that's very, very natural. So, but that's for children. It's not for true adults. True is the wrong word.
Yet all we have to do is pull open the newspaper or turn on our news channel and we see I, me, mine, and writ in large.
That's why we need, it doesn't have to be Buddhism, but that's why we need something like Buddhism, where people can understand it's of course it's tragic. One person wants to make war and 500,000 people die. It's not just, by the way, on the other side, it happened in Iraq also. And so it's, though we don't think of it that way, but it's if you see history from both points of view, we went in to save the Iraqi people and killed 500,000 of them. So it's just it goes on, it goes on forever. But hopefully, ultimately, long after our lifetimes, perhaps, it'll all evolve until everyone in fact is realized, which is just, of course, realizing how ordinary we are. Yes, Rachel.
Thank you, Peter. Do you think that health and illness, medical turmoil, that's why so often, people write books and give talks about how they came to understand only because they were grievously stricken, or someone they knew were stricken, because it can be kind of startling to understand how completely interconnected just our bodies are. I mean, everyone thinks, a heart, lung, all that. It isn't until someone perhaps has an illness, chronic illness or something, that everything from sodium to potassium to how your nails grow, that the smallest thing can affect everything that you normally would never even consider. And then all of a sudden you realize what a absolutely fascinating web even being alive is. And then when you're placed in a medical setting, it's not just a doctor or a nurse, it can be the cleaner. I was in one room once visiting someone, and the cleaner had used the wrong wax. So the next people who came in fell flat on the floor. I mean, what I mean is you have this sense of you're all connected, whether your job is stitching or your job is cleaning the floor. I mean, it just occurs to me that unless you've been in situations akin to that, you can just trot along thinking you're fine because your blood pressure is okay. Do you know what I mean? That it's running into a problem, that all of a sudden you're aware of how cosmic interconnectedness really is.
Yeah, that's true. It's also, anyway, I can't add anything to the truth. I'm sorry. Sandy?
I just realized I can see
Oh, really?
God's face
Oh.
today.
Uh-oh. How do we solve it? I just solved it last time, Sandy. I know, no, not yet. We're not hearing you.
Here I am.
That's a different Sandy, I think. Is there another Sandy here?
No, it's the automatic AI lady who lives in some of our devices. She thought we were talking to
Oh,
her.
thank you. Yes, she
We
did.
can't, we
That's
can't
right.
speak her name or she'll summon her.
We need one good lip reader.
Sandy,
Maybe.
Sandy, why don't you keep trying, and then if your voice comes through, then we'll know you succeeded, and then we'll have you talk to us. Okay, but for the moment, we'll go to Chris.
So basically, I was trying to work out how we're dependent on everyone. Like, I totally get, like, we're dependent on people who grow the food and who drive the trucks to bring the food to the grocery store and who fly the planes to bring clothes from, the places they're made, and the retail workers who work in the shops, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But there are some real crooks out there who are not adding anything to society, and many times they're just taking away, and society's worse off for them being in it. And I don't understand, how could I be dependent on such a person?
That's a big eye.
How could we be interdependent?
That's a big we. Let's see, Jane can answer. Jane.
I can say sometimes people are just present because they are expressing what we should not do in a society, what we should not become, or what the real dangers in our humanity are. And so we learn just from a man who drinks too much and causes a lot of trouble and suffering. We learn, oh well, alcohol can be a real danger, and so we should be careful of that. So if we take it, I mean, Buddha comes through everything, but everything isn't beautiful and wonderful, and maybe teaching people takes many roads to do it. Nobody can teach you not to drink like a drunk, for example.
So maybe this dependence we're talking about isn't going to mean the same thing in every connection point from one being to another. It is, like, it's really easy to see that I'm dependent on someone who grows food, and it's not any less true that I'm dependent on, some scammer who's, conning people out of money and not really helping society. It's not dependent in the same on them the way it's someone is dependent on a farmer, but it is nonetheless a dependence in some form.
I think it's
Sandy back.
Any,
Sandy? No, I thought she was there too.
No, I muted her just now. I know I had asked to unmute.
can you hear me?
Now we can. Yeah.
Oh, goody. I found it. I just wanted to say, I enjoyed your talk immensely. I just got finished reading a book. I think it's Buddha is a Checker at Walmart. I can't remember who the author is, but one of the things he says somewhere along the line is the fact that taking the time, making an actual effort to look at things and then study, look at them and look at them as how we are independent or not independent, how we are so interconnected, or taking the time to experience something, a painting, something outside, something growing, is probably the best way that one can disconnect from our self, or what we think of as ourself, and to experience life. And that if we don't live that way, if we don't try to live in the now and be able to experience our interconnectedness and those types of things, that we really are not living. We're missing so much of what life really is, and that it's a practice that should, always be practiced. If you go into a new environment or whatever, your everyday life, it is the way to keep you focused and to let you appreciate others and want to actually help others. And that was one of the first things I seemed to learn when I came to the Zendo, was the fact that the more I was around Zen, the more I was around people who practiced it, the more I could open myself up to looking at my interconnectedness with everyone and everything. And it changed my sense of how I see others and compassion. And I want to thank you for speaking about it today, Peter. I appreciated it. And it's just another bit of affirming what is really the truth. So thank you so much. Come back with another one next week.
Yes.
Hi, thank you, Peter. That was beautiful. It just said everything. Yeah, what can you say? Something came up which I think is related, and I don't know.
Can everybody hear him?
What? Can you guys hear? Should I speak louder?
I think the mic is picking up.
Okay, good.
Okay.
It's okay.
So that was great, and I think something came up which really struck me, like sort of right before the talk, and it seems to me it has some relation to what you were talking about, and I can't really articulate it, which is I'm in this crazy place, moving and all from one scene to another, and this stuff. I had issues with a particular person, and she's sort of reaching out, sort of, and I've noticed that I feel there's nothing to say at this point from my side, and then it realized, like, if she was to ask me at what point, how would it be, there would be something to say, and I thought, oh, when there's nothing for you to say to me that you need to say to me, then maybe it'll be helpful to talk. And that struck me. I don't know why, like letting go of all the bullshit that we created together, and then it might be fruitful.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
but that feels to me like it should be related to the stuff you're talking about, and like maybe all that stuff is the stuff. Like, yeah, I mean, so we're both going towards all the stuff that we maybe feel we have to say to each other, and just dropping that.
Yeah, because in both cases there's an I involved.
Yeah, right.
That's all.
I have to say something.
Yeah.
And so then when there's nothing that needs to
Then
be said,
it's like having a fight with your mate, for example.
yeah,
Okay, because it happens to everybody
Right.
who makes a relationship at some point, and it's always I against I,
right.
I against you, you against me.
Right.
It's always that's always there, and it's very, very hard. Or just
Yeah, it is.
pardon me, it takes time.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time. Remember, Buddhism is about you. But it's not you meaning you. But it's not about I,
No.
or it's not about the you, the you or you with the I attached to it.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we do what we can within our own worlds. But the first world to change is our own.
Absolutely.
And then we can help. We're always as a so-called human, but anyway, we just keep trying.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
But that seemed. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing
Yeah.
particular I need to say. Is dropping the I.
Yeah, dropping the I. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Just dropping the I.
So there you go. Then it might be fruitful
Yeah.
to say something.
Yeah. But you don't. Yeah.
It
You
might not.
just forget the I. That's all what happens. It's just no longer there.
Yeah.
And so you're not bothered. And then it comes up again, and then you're bothered again.
That's right.
And whenever the I comes up, you're bothered, no matter what the situation is.
That's true.
Even if I am right,
That's not.
I might say, or you are right. That right there is the I
Right.
also.
And
Dislikes and dislikes again.
Yeah.
All over again. Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. That thank you. That's helpful. I mean, that's,
Jane?
I just wanted to add to the same thing, that everybody, if one of the practices you could do is, like, when you see someone that seems totally disreputable because of what they do, you still label Buddha.
Yes.
So you might say low life Buddha, disreputable Buddha.
Yeah.
Just put the two sides. If you just say low life or disreputable, it's all weighted on one end.
Right.
So you balance it by remembering the other part that isn't showing.
Yeah. Well, Trump Buddha is a challenging juxtaposition.
Yeah, it's a very challenging one. So, but if you say it, at least you'll have balance better than just say
Absolutely.
evil only, and just saying yeah, but evil asleep.
Oh, that's very true. That's very true. I mean,
But everybody that causes harm like that to people in some way, you know, you remind yourself of who they are as well.
yeah, yeah. The beauty.
I
It's
think
like
sometimes people like that are greater Buddhas than those who are, you know, bringing good. I mean, I honestly feel like we learn so much from those who are trying to bring harm, because it's what they're doing is so evident and you can just see it so plainly. And I think it just really demonstrates to so many people, um, just what not to be. And I think that is such a lesson.
Yeah,
I mean, a guy like Trump, I mean, people have learned a lot about humanity and what people can, and what people can be just by looking at, the way that he views life and the way that he goes through life. And it makes it black and white, good and bad. It helps us to realize he's a real Buddha for doing that.
so just say, you know,
I guess
what's that? A lot of mud, big Buddha.
A lot of mud, big mud, big Buddha.
Big mud, big
thing.
Buddha. Yeah.
Right. Well, I don't know. I mean, I have this thing about Trump. Like, we all here in this context say, "Oh my God, Trump Buddha, that's so challenging. Oh my God." But there are a terrifying, for me, number of people out there who look at Trump and they say savior, and that freaks me out. And I don't know. I just wanted to bring that up to be depressing, I suppose. But
yes, telephone line. Who is that?
Joe.
Joe? No, not Joe. Anyway,
Hi,
please,
it's
Jack.
Donna. It's Donna Duckwin. Hi.
Oh, hi, Donna.
Hi.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, I have charger challenges, so I had to switch back to the phone.
Sure.
So my question from the beginning was, when one is thinking, there's a lot of catch to that. So that relates to when we see others as being harmful. So every parent makes mistakes, but you're thinking of your child and you do what you do for your child from your point of view. But inevitably, you're wounding your child in some way and, causing them lifelong pain, inevitably. So that's the closest to my heart example of it's hard to know when you're doing for others whether you're being harmful or helpful.
Yes, that's true. Um, because Jane and I have not been parents, and so I have not been a parent, and so I can't really answer to that. But once again, do what I do, say what I say, is one way of parenting, and it's an easy way because follow. You should just obey me, child. That's what children do. You obey. But that's imposing on them. But you can't just say, oh, anything's okay, don't worry, because that also is not good training for them. So parents are always sacrificing in ways that they don't know. They're sacrificing in a way they're being selfish in order to help.
And the problems they give
Yeah, and I guess my question is,
Shirley.
am I still there?
Yes, I am. Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, for all of us at all times. Like I want to help the world. How do I know what I'm doing is helping this aspect of the world? You know, I want to take action. How do I know that my action is helpful? It leads right into Trump Buddha.
Well, anyway, it's time for our, I think we're done. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for all your nice comments, interesting comments. And we will now going to do the full moon ceremony.